There is an unspoken rule in the Nobility Academy. True nobles only eat the crescent-shaped flesh of the gills when eating fish. So when someone eats the flesh from the back of the fish in large bites, they will be immediately recognized as a child from a poor family. This is a nobility game designed by the heirs of the 4 great consortiums. Every year, they select 50 poor students to portray wealthy nobles' Mies. The deadline is 1 month. If the disguise is successful, they will receive a huge bonus. If someone inadvertently unmasks you, then you will have to work for the 4 great consortiums without pay for 50 years. And I am nothing more than a small figure from the underworld who struggles to eat and dress every day. But by mistake, due to an accident, I was selected by this Nobility Academy while delivering food. I lowered my head and looked at the gold-edged invitation to the game in my hand. I remembered my mother being bedridden at home. I finally nodded my head. I decided to participate in this strange and absurd game. On the opening day, I made an effort to display the banner of a wealthy family, cold and distant. Dragging a suitcase from a low-key luxury niche brand, I entered the school gate. The gate was filled with young nobles, both boys and girls, who had come to watch the show. Simply because today was the day this nobility game officially began. Everyone was looking on with anticipation. For those clumsy performers who were about to appear, I had one thing clear in my mind. To disguise themselves as nobles would reveal nervousness and an embarrassing ridicule. Someone had even set a bet for this, guessing how many days these despicable commoners could hold out this time. Soon, when my opposite and extraordinary face appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of all the young nobles, both boys and girls. My eyebrows and eyes radiated an inherent aura of coldness and reserved nobility, causing a group of young nobles, both boys and girls, whispering and guessing my identity. I frowned slightly. I looked at the crowd that was completely blocking the school entrance. Then I lowered my head and stared at the wet and bumpy ground. I raised my hand and impatiently picked at my ears. Then I pointed to a noble boy who was standing to the side dumbfounded. "Take off your jacket, so I can use it as a carpet. I don't like the soles of my shoes getting wet." As soon as the words left my mouth, the noble boy I was pointing at looked at me with surprise on his face. Wow, this guy is too arrogant. Could he be that mysterious heir that's been talked about? The originally noisy crowd fell silent for a few seconds, but no one dared to refute, because this year the 4 major consortiums had come up with a new trick to increase the difficulty of the game. It turned out that they let the heirs of the richest families who had already retired pretend to be newly arrived commoner students. Although I was only carrying a suitcase of a minority brand, but for a moment, everyone was unable to distinguish whether I was a commoner imposter disguised as a young master, or whether I was from a high-level wealthy family, pretending to be weak to deceive them. I narrowed my eyes, with a cold expression. The feeling was as if I didn't take anyone seriously. Every place my gaze swept over made the stunned young masters and young ladies feel a bone-chilling cold. The air seemed to freeze. No one dared to move even slightly, for fear of offending that legendary heir of a high-level wealthy family. My goodness, who is this person? This aura is too strong. But there are also students who don't like my arrogant attitude. And they retort. Just a slightly clever trick than the others? Yes. I approached that young aristocrat with a displeased expression on her face and before everyone's astonished gaze, I raised my hand and slapped her. "What did you say earlier? Louder. I didn't hear you properly." After saying that, I took a handkerchief from my pocket and wiped my hands with a disgusted expression. No one expected me to act without thinking twice. They immediately started arguing. How courageous. That's the daughter of Wei Defu, who is among the top 10 of the world's wealth list, and she dares to hit her. How can a man hit a girl? He only said a couple of things to her. How classless. The slapped noble girl covered her face in disbelief and she had never suffered such humiliation in her life. The noble girl pointed at me. She was trembling with rage. "How dare you hit me? Do you know who my father is?" "My father is Wei Defu, one of the top 10 in the world's wealth list. If you offend me, you're dead." I didn't take the noble girl's threat seriously. I lifted my foot to walk past her and leave. The noble girl, always praised by everyone. When she had been ignored like this, she abruptly reached out to grab the hem of the young man in front of her so's clothes and stop him. "Diki, who told you to leave?" Only a thump was heard. A black card with gold trim fell to the ground. A sharp-eyed student immediately noticed, pointing at the ground, with a face full of astonishment. "Elia, look quickly." What is that thing?" Everyone's gaze focused on that black card. "It's a black card. Black card. That black card of which there are only 3 in the entire world." One exclamation after another rang out around them. The corners of my mouth lifted slightly. I thought to myself, this trick really worked. He looked. It wasn't for nothing that I spent a fortune forging this black card. I raised my head, pointing arrogantly at the guy who had thrown the clothes away earlier, and then pointed at the black card on the ground. "This card will be yours after you pick it up." The guy was flattered. A look of maniacal joy appeared on his face as if he had won the lottery. Although he was almost speaking with the attitude of a benefactor, but that guy didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he smiled with a flattering expression on his face. He hurriedly walked over, picked up the black card beside me, and then respectfully returned it to me with both hands. "Such a valuable card. Even if you lend me 10 guts, I don't dare to use it. You might as well keep it." I looked at it with disgust. Then, through a handkerchief, I picked up the black card that was already dirty. I raised my hand and threw it gently. I accurately threw it into the trash can next to it. This card is already so dirty. How can it be used? Since no one wants it, let's throw it away. The student who recognized the black card earlier was covering his chest with a pained expression on his face. My heart hurt so much. That's the black card of which there are only 3 in the entire world. He threw it away just like that and stood in front of me. The eyes of the boy who threw the clothes quickly rolled around. Convinced that I was the top rich family disguised as a commoner this time, he quickly looked up and asked Dandojista cautiously, "Hello, partner. My name is Senrui. My family runs a hospitality business. Are you Senrui?" He asked what everyone present wanted to know. I know that this is my first test to enter this prestigious school. If I succeed, I will obtain the pass to this elite game. If I fail, I will be lost forever. I took a deep breath, tightly suppressing my nervousness. I opened my mouth with a calm expression. What kind of person am I? You are not worthy of knowing. At that moment, the people from the student council hurriedly arrived standing in front of the distant young man surrounded by the crowd. It's you, Jia Moyen, right? New student registration. You're the only one left who hasn't registered? Come with me quickly. As soon as he said those words, there was a sudden clamor around him. His surname is Yu. Could it be that he is the young master of the Jiu family, that top-tier, wealthy family that retired many years ago? Young Master Jiu. I heard that young Master Jiu just returned to the country this year. I didn't expect him to be brought back like this. The school has really invested a lot in this game. The noble girl who was arrogant and domineering a moment ago immediately became she hid behind the crowd, afraid that he would retaliate violently against her. Senrui's attitude became even more fawning. He quickly snatched the suitcase from my hand. Let me help you with the luggage. How can you do this kind of thing yourself? Leave it to me. I pretended to feel sorry without caring, and then continued walking forward without looking to the sides. But when no one was looking, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Inadvertently, my gaze swept across the faces of these noble young men and women. When I noticed that they all revealed a look of astonishment, I knew that the identity of this mysterious young master of the Jiu family, who had just returned to the country, was established. It was not in vain that I had carefully chosen him for 3 months, because in this school, almost everyone is a wealthy noble. A slight carelessness could unmask my identity. Only by pretending to be from a mysterious family with deep and unfathomable foundations can I intimidate these people. The identity of the young Master Gyu, who has just returned to the country, can help me avoid the disadvantage of having no friends in the country. After the registration of new students was over, I walked steadily across the campus, showing off the luxurious architecture of the elite school with an indifferent expression, as if I were strolling in the garden of my own house. My aloof and valuable appearance further convinced everyone that I was the young master of the Jiu family, and their attitude towards me became even more respectful. I soon stopped in front of a luxurious detached villa. I raised my finger and pointed ahead. This place is not bad. I will live here. A student opened his mouth in disbelief, exclaiming, "What? My God, this is the place where the heirs of the 4 great fortunes live." How dare he? Senrui looked with difficulty at the cold and distant young master in front of him. I know of a place that is definitely not worse than this. Why don't we change? I ignored Senrui's persuasion and went straight into the villa, pointing to one of the rooms. This room looks good. Hey, you come here and throw away all his things. Then replace everything with new things and clean it up thoroughly. Senrui was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. This is the room of Liao, the one with the worst temper of the 4 great fortunes. Yes, if he catches him when he comes back, neither of us will be well off. I gave him a cold look. What are you afraid of? What is he? Suddenly, a die-hard fan of El Shao immediately turned red with anger. She was about to rush forward to defend him, but was stopped by a calm friend beside her. Are you crazy? His surname is Zhu. Don't you want to live anymore? The die-hard fan calmed down. Instantly he could only watch helplessly as Liao's belongings were thrown down from above one by one. There was only a thump as they fell to the ground below, instantly causing an uproar. These are Liao's personal belongings, just like that. Senrui upstairs' eyes didn't show the slightest hesitation. He immediately took out his cell phone and dialed a number with an urgent and servile tone. Hey, bring people over immediately. Take everything from Li Xiao's room and buy it exactly the same, no better than the original. He hung up the phone. Even so, he didn't forget to peek downstairs to take a look. His face showed an eager-to-please attitude. The luggage was quickly collected. After closing the bedroom door, I could clearly feel that the gaze fixed on my back completely disappeared. The cold expression that had been on my face for a long time immediately vanished. My entire person also relaxed. I turned around and collapsed onto the soft bed in the luxurious villa. Patting my chest, I took a deep breath. What a danger. I had finally passed the first test for this noble game. I was fully prepared. Not only did I quit all my part-time jobs, I also took the 100,000 yuan deposit that the noble school gave me and started looking for detectives 3 months in advance. I investigated the information of all the wealthy families and recorded it in detail in a notebook. During the preparation period, I recited by heart the family background of everyone in the noble school and their character and temperament, especially the identity information of the 4 Jabul families. I knew it like the back of my hand. I even cruelly borrowed 1 million from lending platforms. I knew clearly in my heart that once I made this decision, this game would only allow me to succeed. It would not allow failure, otherwise I would live forever under the shadow of being haunted by debts. I sat down, took out a photo of me, with my mother from my chest. My gaze turned serious. I secretly swore an oath. I knew in my heart that this time I would not only have to succeed in disguising myself within a month to obtain a high bonus, but also completely cross social classes to become a true noble. As long as I could obtain power, the past hardships would not plague me. I did not want to be a lower-class person trampled on by others again. The next day, school began. I entered the classroom just as the last bell rang. Dozens of pairs of eyes instantly turned towards me. I adopted a disdainful attitude, enduring everyone's scorching gazes. I walked to a corner by the window and sat down. The classmates who were originally sitting nearby upon seeing me arrive also left, one after another, not daring to provoke this young master of the Jihu family, who seemed to have an elite status even if I hadn't done anything out of the ordinary. The scorching gaze of everyone was still fixed on me. At that moment, Tang Tang, one of the heirs of the four great consortiums, sat directly next to that distant young man. Everyone's hearts were filled with doubt and astonishment. Some even secretly speculated, Tang Tang, with such a noble and prominent status, how could he willingly approach that young man with an unknown identity? Could it be that he came to publicly expose the hidden true identity of this young man? I was originally lying on the table preparing to sleep. Listening to the discussions around me, I was suddenly stunned. Tang Tang is the most innocent and sweet of the four heirs of the great consortiums. A smile appeared on the corner of my lips. It seems that Tang Tang is a good opportunity for me to enter the nobility. I pushed myself up and turned to face Tang Tang, extending my hand as a gesture of goodwill. Tang, I like the way you say that. The shouts of the entire class resounded. F times CK, what is going on here? He is already proposing himself. Tang Tang, with a puzzled face, turned to look at me. At that moment, sunlight reflected on my face from the window, adding a soft glow to my already prominent appearance, making her valuable and dazzling. Tang Tang had never seen such a beautiful young man. She was instantly dazzled. The feeling of being wrong disappeared in an instant, and instead she began to have the shyness of a young girl. This beautiful scene was soon uploaded to the internet. The exclusive lounge of the four major conglomerates. He was sitting on a custom-made genuine leather sofa, his brow furrowed, seriously looking at the beautiful photo of me and Tin Chin on the forum. And Anu was carelessly browsing the comment section below the post. The movement of her fingers stopped at a discussion belonging to the young master of the Ji family. And Ansu raised an eyebrow. Young master of the Jiu family. Just starting school, he declares his love to Tang Rao, the most protected daughter of the Tang family. How audacious. But how come he had never seen Lin Yigian before with his gold-rimmed glasses with an aura of an older sister? He replied indifferently. She has been living abroad all this time. It's normal that you haven't seen her. There's no need to be surprised. Lin Yan looked up and inadvertently caught a glimpse of the calm young man on the forum. A hint of surprise flashed through his eyes. He silently clenched his fist but continued to act as if nothing had happened. And Ansu was staring intently at the photo on his phone. He still found it strange. Even if it was a high-level wealthy family that had been hidden for many years, it wouldn't be possible that there wasn't a single piece of news about it. Yansu looked puzzled. It completely aroused the curiosity of El Shao, who was bored to the side. He immediately snatched the phone from Yansu's hand. He wanted to see what kind of person had caused Janu, who was usually calm and composed, to transform like this. What did he look like? Yansu didn't notice and Liao snatched the phone from him. Before he could react, Li Xiao jumped onto the sofa on the other side and sat down. He flipped the phone open and he zoomed in on the photo of the serene young man of absolute beauty, sitting by the window and illuminated by the sun, appeared before his eyes. Li Xiao opened his mouth wide, his expression one of disbelief. F times CK, a person with this kind of appearance is too charming. Surely, in theory, with the beauty he possesses now, there shouldn't be a single piece of news about him in the circle. Could it be that there is some hidden secret here? Lin Yan adjusted the glasses on his nose, said in a calm voice, and Anso, it seems like you've become a little different. You didn't have the slightest bit of curiosity about this kind of thing before. And Ansu was stunned for a moment, then shook his head saying, really? It's just that I have nothing to do. I was just speculating randomly. What are they talking about? Liao could no longer hear. He just kept his gaze fixed on the serene young man on the phone. His fingers slowly slid over the absolutely beautiful face. Nice. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of his lips. Jiao Moyan had some interest. At noon, all the young men and women came to the school canteen to eat. I sat in the corner of the restaurant, looking down at the steamed grouper on my plate. My expression froze for an instant, only because this prestigious school has an unwritten rule. True nobles only eat the crescent-shaped meat from the gills of the fish. So when someone voraciously eats the meat from the back of the fish, they will immediately be recognized as a child from a poor family. This is the second film test for the actors in this game of nobility. Countless actors have been unmasked in this test and ended up completely discredited. For this test, I specially practiced at home for half a month. When I maintained an expressionless expression as I extended my chopsticks towards the crescent-shaped meat from the gills, I could clearly feel that even the burning gazes around me diminished a little. Suddenly, Tantan ran over with his plate and sat down across from me. He gazed at my steamed grouper. You also like eating fish, huh? What a coincidence. I love eating fish too. I didn't look up, just nodded slightly, considering it an answer to Tantan's question just now, although I had already explained it. The confession in the classroom just now was actually a joke, but he so unexpectedly stuck to me, gesticulating and talking non-stop in front of me, gossiping about the nobility school. I was immersed in the relaxed atmosphere created by Tang Kingle, gradually relaxing my guard. The hand I reached out for the steamed grouper with the chopsticks was deflected. I almost grabbed the meat from the back of the fish. I was suddenly surprised inside. Cold sweat instantly broke out on my cheeks even though I had practiced diligently for half a month. But after all, before entering the nobility school, I had eaten fish back meat for more than 10 years. That was an instinct that belonged to the poor. Tanta saw my action and immediately stopped me. She thought that I had just returned to the country and didn't understand the rules of the circle, so she kindly reminded me not to eat fish back meat. You may not know this because you just returned to the country. Our school has an unwritten rule. The fish only eats the meat from the half moon of the gills. Otherwise, they will think that you are a child from a poor family. Fortunately, Tanta has a simple personality. She deeply believes in my identity, otherwise she would be exposed. I didn't flinch. I quickly adjusted the direction of my chopsticks. I accurately picked up a piece of half moon meat and put it in my mouth to chew. Then I turned to Tanta. I smiled slightly. Waste is shameful. Tanta breathed a sigh of relief, beating her chest. I knew that Brother Jun Yang would never eat fish tenderloin meat. It turns out that he was afraid of wasting it. Brother Juyan is really very kind. I think I actually like him a little bit. The exclusive restaurant of the 4 big chols on the 2nd floor. Jessiao noticed it carefully. My action of almost taking fish tenderloin meat just now raised an inscrutable smile. She looked at Yanu, who was opposite. Ansu, did you see him? The one before really wanted to eat fish tenderloin meat. And Ansu shook the glass of red wine in his hand. He looked at the distant boy downstairs with inquisitive eyes. It is certainly a little suspicious, but the customs of life abroad are certainly open. It is not strange for him to have this behavior. Yesia raised her eyebrows in disapproval. Seriously, however, I am more and more interested in this young master of the Giyu family, who is famous, more and more interested. As he said that, Yexiao suddenly stood up and went downstairs. Currently I'm sitting at the dining table elegantly, savoring the delicious meal before me. Tanta is also telling me about the legendary exploits of the 4 great chabols in the school. Suddenly, a dark figure blocked the only light in the dining room. Tanta and I looked up. What appeared before my eyes was the cynical appearance of El Shao. She looked at me, the grouper with which I had already eaten most of the crescent meat on my plate. She smiled provocatively. Why, young Master Yu, have you just returned to the country? Don't you understand our rules for eating fish? Do you want me to teach you? Everyone noticed the movement here. Everyone immediately put down the chopsticks in their hands. Curious eyes were watching from all directions. After all, this is young Master Shigan from the 4 great Chevals family, testing the heir apparent of the wealthy Jiyu family. Who wouldn't want to see this kind of spectacle? Li Xiao nonchalantly pulled out a chair and sat down casually opposite. Hiding a bit of elegance and independence between his brows, he pushed the grouper on his plate closer. Are you scared, or have you been abroad for too long? Have you gotten used to it already? Hearing his derogatory words towards the poor, I tightly gripped the chopsticks in my hand, forcefully suppressing the provocation of my inner anger. This is a blatant provocation. It seems that because of my carelessness just now, I have already aroused the suspicions of the 4 great conglomerates. It seems that I will have to be more careful in the future. I ignore Liao's provocation. I elegantly take it out. I took a handkerchief to wipe the corner of my mouth, and looked at Liao coldly. Nosy barking, dog ag. Could it be that you have a crush on me? As soon as these words were spoken, there was a huge uproar around me. Ballet. Everyone couldn't believe that I was so bold as to embarrass one of the heirs of the 4 major conglomerates like this. Liao's face instantly turned red. He slammed the table and stood up furiously, denying it vehemently. Nonsense. I'm straight. How could a straight person have a crush on you? This guy with an unknown identity? It's simply ridiculous. I pretended not to care. I picked up my plate and stood up, looking at Liao with contempt. That's right. You're not qualified enough to like me. I hadn't finished speaking yet, when I turned around and left. Yexiao pointed at my back, trembling with rage. Tantan saw the situation, and hurriedly followed me. When he passed by Liao, he even snorted lightly. Serves you right. Who do you think is right? Shut up where you're not supposed to be. Hanu lowered his head to look at the commotion coming from below. He was surprised in his heart. He didn't expect Liao to be defeated so quickly. Han gently shook the glass of red wine in his hand. A meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his lips. Interesting. Things are getting more and more interesting. I returned to the classroom to wait for class, but my phone received a mysterious text message. Be careful during this time. Wei Xiao has disappeared, with such a reputation. He won't let you off that easily. Who sent this message? I don't know for sure, but I guess the one referring to Wei Yao by name in the message must be one of the heirs of the other 4 big wealthy families. I frowned and thought about it. I don't think any of them would help me. I thought for a long time, but I couldn't find an answer, so I put my phone away and temporarily shelved this matter. Just because this person can send me a text message to warn me about Bi Gao, it means that he won't pose a threat to me for the time being. A few more days passed, and indeed Wei Yao, as the message said, constantly in front of me to attract attention. Although he did not directly ambush me with people, his methods were even more disgusting than more disgusting. Putting mice in my desk, watering my chair with hot peppers, or deliberately saying aristocratic things in front of me. But these childish tactics did not succeed in fooling me. On the contrary, I ended up humiliating them all in the same way. This also led to any practical jokes I played during this time being attributed to Alcon. Finally, the overwhelmed Alcon calmed down for a few days. He stopped looking for trouble for me. Quickly 15 days passed. I was getting closer and closer to getting the big reward. During this time, my relationship with Tantan became increasingly close. And thanks to my identity as the young master of the Jiyu family, many aristocrats and wealthy families came to flatter me. My wallet gradually swelled. It seemed that everything was heading in a good direction. But with time, there are always cracks. Sen Rui, who helped me with my luggage at first, noticed something was wrong, simply because he saw me wearing the same clothes 2 days a week. This situation is fatal for young masters and young ladies who have lived in abundance since childhood. After a physical education class, I suddenly discovered that someone had rummaged through my school bag. Then I looked around in panic. My gaze immediately caught the figure of Sen Rui, who had not had time to run away. I suddenly became alert. Although I had long since hidden the information about the nobles I investigated, but I know that people like Sen, since he was the first to show friendship with me, could also stab me in the back at any time for interests. Once he found out that I was just a commoner who could not even afford to eat before, your petty nature would undoubtedly launch a crazy revenge against me. In the etiquette class, Sen Rui approached me on purpose, pointing at the limited edition slippers that I have been wearing for 3 days, deliberately announcing in a loud voice, "Young master, these limited edition sneakers, I noticed that you've been wearing them for 3 days. Why don't you change them?" A family as big as the Yu family surely has the money to buy a pair of shoes, right? Everyone's gaze instantly focused. Murmurs came and went. Yes, young Master Zhu, I've seen these shoes several times too. Could it be that you're not really the young master of the Yu family? Sen Rui heard the doubts that were constantly ringing around him and couldn't help but show a smug smile. I knew instantly he was doing it on purpose. He was trying to force me to reveal my flaws in front of everyone. I raised my eyebrows nonchalantly and immediately showed a disdainful expression. You don't even know this. These shoes of mine were specially made by a famous international designer, a aged model. Each pair of shoes needs to be made through special craftsmanship. The older, the more valuable. Sen Rui had a disapproving expression, thinking that I was just bragging. Stop fooling yourself, Sam. What an aged model. I've never heard of it. I'm afraid there's some unknown brand you picked up from some street stall. You're deceiving people, right? Many people believed Sen Rui's words, but some knowledgeable classmates exclaimed, I know these shoes. They are said to be the closing work of Master Kevin, who has just returned to the country. There are only 3 pairs in the world. Everyone showed expressions of disbelief. I didn't expect that there really were shoes that were worth more the older they were. Sen Rui stepped back in shock. How is it possible? I smiled with understanding. The current scene is what I wanted. Ever since I discovered that Sen Rui had touched my backpack that day, I had already expected something like this for this counterattack. Specifically, I hired a detective to find out the whereabouts of these limited edition Kevin Master sneakers. The whereabouts of the sneakers. I unexpectedly discovered that a pair was displayed in a museum, with the title of the first-line wealthy family that I had forged in the elite school where I intimidated the person in charge of the museum. I finally used the funds I had left to rent the shoes to the museum. During these 3 days, I deliberately wore these shoes in front of Sen Rui to make Sen Rui suspect my identity. I even had him do various things to make him lose his composure and choose to unmask me in public. And I could use Sen Rui's false accusation to completely solidify my identity as young Master Gu. And in the future no one would question how often I repeat the outfit. Everyone would just think it was another custom-made garment that they couldn't afford. This approach was simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I pulled Sen Rui's hand and pressed it hard against the ground. I picked up the prepared brick with a cold gaze. Whose hand touched your bag? Sen Rui's body instantly stiffened. His face turned purple. He didn't expect that his actions had already been discovered. Sen Rui also gradually realized that he might have offended the legendary first-tier wealthy family. A chill ran down the soles of his feet and he didn't care how Sen Rui felt now. Seeing that he didn't respond, I directly broke his wrist mercilessly and turned to leave. The news quickly spread throughout the school. Though 4 major tycoons were seated together in the exclusive lounge engaged in a discussion about the rules of the forthcoming update to the elite game. Yan Su was absent-mindedly clenching the pen in his hand. Len Yegian broke the silence and was the first to speak. The actors this time really have something. It's been so long. And there are even some who haven't been cast exposed. In fact, it seems like it's time to add some difficulty. Cheng Cheng doesn't like this so-called elite game. It's too boring. You guys discuss it. I still have to go find my brother Jiu Moyan. He got up impatiently, turned around and said Yi Zhao. Hearing Zhu Moyan's name, a gleam of cunning flashed in his eyes. A sly smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. About the game. I have a good idea. Ye Zhao approached the 2 and whispered. Whispering, quickly, Yao's proposal was approved although Len Yuyan did not approve on the surface, but he still nodded his head. At this moment, I am lying on the soft bed in the dormitory, looking at the phone with a worried expression. The remaining balance is very little. Although I skillfully resolved the crisis of being exposed by Sen Rui, but it also caused my wallet to shrink completely. The most important thing for me now is to find a way to get money. After all, there is still almost a week left for the game to end. Just when I was thinking about how to earn money, the phone sent a message notification tone. I opened the voice message sent in the class group. On Friday night of next week, this school will hold the annual freshman welcome dinner. At that time, each freshman will be required to bring an object that represents their family identity. Mommy. To explain, I immediately got up from my bed in surprise, staring blankly at the phone screen. Shit. I, a poor kid who grew up in a slum, where am I going to find an object that can represent my family's identity? It won't be revealed in a matter of minutes. I lowered my head and pondered. This is clearly a death trap aimed at actors. Noble schools have never had this kind of rule before. Could it be that their patience has run out, or have they realized something? But in any case, the most important thing now is how to overcome this crisis. Just as I was pacing back and forth with a headache, the unknown number from before sent a text message again. If you want to overcome this crisis, meet me on the school rooftop. At 10 p.m. I stared at this text message for a long time. Mizia Steam. I finally decided to go on a date, just because this is the only lifeline I can have to continue pretending to be a noble. Night fell slowly. I went to the school rooftop on time as agreed, but I didn't expect to see an unexpected figure. Lenoan turned around and walked towards me. A breeze blew through his hair. The night was silent. Even the sound of heels clicking could be. Cold Moontongue saw my surprised expression. He let out a light laugh. Why are you surprised to see me? I withdrew my surprised expression. I took off my disguise as a wealthy aristocrat, revealing my true self. After all, Cold Moontongue was able to send me this kind of message. He must have investigated my identity thoroughly. Every disguise also became insipid. I looked at the beautiful and charming Cold Moontongue in front of me. I shook my head, but I didn't understand something. Why are you helping me? Cold Moontongue took out a jade pendant engraved with the GU family crest and handed it to me. This is young Master Ju's personal pendant, just a fake, but fooling these young aristocrats with little brains is enough. Hasta pauco. I was stunned for a moment. I didn't dare to reach out my hand to receive it. Gold Moontongue saw this, grabbed my hand, and forcibly stuffed the jade pendant into my hand. Accept it. This is like a small thank you for almost dying 10 years ago. When you saved the girl in the alley. As soon as I finished these words, my thoughts instantly stirred. I suddenly remembered when 10 years ago in the alley I encountered that poor girl surrounded by thugs. When I encountered an opportunity to be a hero and save a beauty, I immediately, and without hesitation, rushed in. But I was always outnumbered. Although the girl escaped the clutches of the thugs, I ended up with a body full of injuries. Suddenly, Lin Yan's cold and distant voice interrupted my memories. I didn't expect to see you here again. I then took the jade piece given by Lin Yiqian. I gave him my most sincere smile. No matter what happened. Thank you. Lin Yan was dazzled by my smile. His gaze wavered. Finally, feigning nonchalance, he raised his head. You don't have to thank me. I also want to see how long you can last in this prestigious school. Jian Moyan, don't disappoint me. After saying that, Lin Yan turned around and left. The sound of high heels grew further and further away, leaving me alone, confused, in the wind. I walked to the edge of the rooftop, lowered my head and tightly clenched the jade in my hand. Then I looked down at the entire view of this aristocratic school at night, secretly swearing in my heart, I must definitely forge my own path here, making everyone raise their heads for me. In a private villa, someone anonymously sent a package to Yanso. He was sitting on the sofa in the living room, carelessly opening it. Inside were all Juman, photos of him delivering food in the rain and various part-time jobs. And Ansu, looking at the photos, smiled wryly. It seems that this young master is hiding many secrets. The next afternoon, I knocked on the door and entered the exclusive break room of the 4 major conglomerates. In this huge room, only Jansu was sitting on the sofa. I approached him and Hans threw a bunch of photos of my part-time jobs from the side, questioning, tell me, what are all these? And Ansu took out these photos. I was not surprised at all. He knew clearly that these experiences could not be erased. So he had thought of an explanation in advance. It is nothing more than a life experience. Only when you truly know what that group of poor people really needs can you completely control them, right? Yang? And Ansu looked at me with quite a surprise. That look was as if he recognized me for the first time. He walked to the bar counter in the break room and sat down. Then he pointed to the seat on the side, and said as he sat down coldly, sit down. Don't be nervous. What do you want to drink? And he completely annoyed my explanation. He was still testing me endlessly. I looked up at him directly. No, thank you. I have class in a bit. You called me today. It's not just because of this ridiculous nonsense, is it? If so, I won't waste my time any longer. With that, I turned to leave and Ansu stopped me by saying, wait, don't be in such a hurry. I stopped in my tracks. I felt secretly relieved. I knew I had passed this test. I hid my joy. With an indifferent expression, I turned to look at Janu, who was sitting at the bar. What's wrong? He approached me with a calm and unhurried step. He took out a black unlimited credit card and served it to me. I was rude earlier. This black unlimited credit card is my apology. I looked at the black card in front of me, suppressed the temptation of the money, and feigned indignation as I asked, Young Amoy, what does this mean? The Gyun family is missing your money. He let out a laugh. Haha, how interesting. Indeed, you haven't disappointed me. He took out an invitation he had already prepared and handed it to me. There's a car race tonight. Do you have the courage to come? I received Yanu's invitation with a blank expression. I was actually terribly worried simply because I was a novice driver who passed the driving test on the 3rd attempt, but I knew that I couldn't refuse this invitation. This is my first entry into the circle of nobility. Once I reject it, all my efforts will be in vain. At 10 o'clock at night, I rode in Yansu's luxurious car on a winding mountain road. I looked out the window. On both sides of the road there was nothing but a bottomless precipice. A slight carelessness could cause a fatal accident. After a short while the car came to a stop at the usual meeting place for racing fans. The appearance of Yanu's car instantly attracted everyone's attention. Then, everyone discovered that the person getting out of the car was not Yansu, but a nameless stranger. Instantly, everyone looked at me curiously. Who is he? How did he get out of Issao's car? Wow, he's too handsome. I'm drooling. Unlike the astonishment of the people around him, Liao's eyes widened and he looked at me in great surprise. He approached Yansu and asked him in a low voice how they had come together and how he had the idea of bringing him here. And Ansu seemed unconcerned, as if there was no problem in bringing me into the circle of nobility. Don't you think it's interesting? Xiao saw me standing alone in the middle, with an aura of coldness and nobility, seemingly out of place in this deafening racing field. He immediately raised an eyebrow. You're right. It is interesting. Xiao approached me with a curvy beauty in his arms. Young master, such a rare guest. I heard you've won countless gold medals overseas. How about it? Do you want to come and play a few rounds? I was silent for a moment, knowing clearly that I couldn't avoid this situation. I never responded to Liao's invitation. He thought I was silently refusing. Then he pointed to a car on the side. You don't have a car. It doesn't matter. I'll let you drive my spare car. It has very good performance. I followed the direction El Xiao pointed with his finger, and a multicolored Bugatti drove straight into my field of vision. Looking at the racing car dressed up like a peacock, I couldn't help but let the corners of my lips twitch. Even if I didn't understand anything about racing car performance, I could see that this car was unreliable. Obviously, Xiao was trying to make things difficult for me on purpose. He wanted to use this car to prove my identity. Liao pushed away the beauty in his arms, leaned down slightly and stared at me intently. Young Amoju, who has been hogging all the attention lately. Could it be that he doesn't dare? Xiao sneered loudly. The surrounding nobles also burst out laughing, just as I was in a dilemma. Lin Yiqian, dressed in a fancy racing suit, walked Out of the lounge. He pushed past Li Xiao, who was getting in the way. He stood in front of me. Li Xiao, are you proud of your car, old man? It's a shame. This is a matter between young Master Zhu and me. When is it your turn to butt in? She ignored Liao Xiao's, turned her head, and smiled faintly at me. I'd also be very interested in seeing young Master Yu's driving skills. Why don't we do this? I'll be your co-pilot. The entire crowd is in shock. What? My goddess Yuji is going to be the co-pilot of this unknown brat? Len Yan, are you kidding me? This isn't the house game you usually play. Len Yan ignored the astonished gazes of the crowd. Without saying a word, he forced me into the driver's seat. Len Yegian, fasten your seat belt, please. I turned my head and looked at him seriously. Are you really sure about this? My driver's license just came out. It's not long now. I can't completely guarantee your safety. Okay, I trust you. I've already made a special installation to this car. Besides, don't you have me, your beautiful and charming co-pilot, accompanying you? Hearing Len Yegian's narcissistic words, I couldn't help but laugh. The tension disappeared instantly. I didn't expect Len Yegian, who is usually so aloof, to actually have such a narcissistic side. All preparations are complete. Only a gunshot is heard. Countless racing cars shot out like rockets. More. I followed closely. The car race is going on intensely. At this moment, I have to thank my experience of not compromising time when delivering food, like finding the fastest route. It is engraved in my bones. And Len Yegian is also an excellent co-pilot. It always helps me find the most precise cutting point when cornering. Under the tacit cooperation between Len Yegian and I, we quickly overtook other racing cars. We reached second place. There are currently only 100 meters until the final corner. Yes Xiao is still far ahead. No matter how much I accelerate, I can't overtake them. At this moment, Len Yegian's excited voice came. Jie Moyan, trust me, step on the gas pedal hard. We will overtake from the outside of the curve. I looked down at the bottomless precipice, and then turned my head to look at Len Yu, seeing the excitement that she could not hide in her eyes. Instantly, a nameless fire ignited in my heart, and the blood vessels in my whole body were stirring. I shouted excitedly, "Okay, hold on tight to the railing, let's go." I used all my strength to step on the gas pedal hard. I only heard a loud noise from the racing car, as if it was going to break all the parts, but I didn't hesitate at all, and rushed straight in. As I overtook the curve, I could clearly feel that half of the car body was in the air. I quickly turned the steering wheel hard, and got the car back on track. My heart was beating wildly, as if it was going to pound, and die from overspeeding in the next second. Len Yegian also let out a sharp cry that resounded across the sky. The red cloth at the finish line was torn down. I took first place 0.01 seconds before Li Xiao. Instantly, there was thunderous applause from the crowd. I didn't expect that I could actually win. El Xiao, the heir to the 4 major consortiums. I sat in the car and took a deep breath, listening to the heated discussion around me, and then I felt the lingering fear. Len Yan unfastened his seatbelt and hugged me by the neck. "Boy, you're amazing. I was right. I wasn't wrong about you." After saying that, Len Yan turned around and got out of the car. After calming down, I also opened the door and got out. Yes Xiao walked over with a shy expression. "This time it doesn't count. After all, you've won gold medals overseas. Next time we'll play something else. I'll definitely beat you, Yes Xiao." Although he still doesn't want to admit defeat deep down, I formally accepted the identity of the young Amoy to this risky move and won. Keanu also walked over here. "Good, you've got guts. I'm really looking forward to you now. What sort of act will you be doing at the welcome bash for the brand new freshman Clashman class?" A second before the game ended, the venue was lively and bustling. The noisy playing field. In an instant, the crowd dispersed. The huge venue didn't have a single figure. Tonight, my identity not only transformed into that of the young master of a mysterious family, but also into a ruthless character who leaves a deep impression. Since then, many wealthy aristocrats learned about what happened that night, and their attitude towards me became increasingly respectful. So I took advantage of the aristocrats' trust to start my own business in order to curry favor with me. They invested large amounts of money, and I also made a lot of money. I no longer had to fear going bankrupt by pretending to be an aristocrat. Time slipped away rapidly until the freshman welcome party, which simultaneously marked the final day of this aristocratic game. With the money I earned these days, I had a very elegant suit made for myself, holding the cold moon sword in my hand, and the jade pendant engraved with the Geiyu family crest. I smoothly entered the banquet hall. The luxurious clothes set off my already handsome face. As soon as I appeared, I instantly attracted everyone's attention. Tantan saw my figure, and hurriedly ran over. "Brother Guillaume Moyan, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. I'll tell you a secret. There's a surprise tonight." He had a puzzled look on his face. He didn't know what surprise he was talking about. The music started playing. Tantan took my hand and sat me down to one side. The surrounding noise gradually disappeared. Suddenly, a host in an elegant dress stepped onto the stage. "Tonight we will witness the birth of a legend, Maizen. Some say he's an actor from the slums. Others say he's a member of the invisible rich family. Now, let us offer Jie Moyan a warm welcome as she steps onto the stage to give her speech." The corner of my mouth twitched, and I turned to look at Tantan, who was happily standing beside me. "What's going on?" Tantan didn't notice my disbelief at all. "This is a surprise I've specially prepared for you. How's it going? Do you like it?" Tantan, ignoring my look of resistance, quickly pushed me onto the stage in front of Tantan's expectant gaze. I had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk towards the microphone. Just as I was about to speak, the lights above my head suddenly dimmed. A series of photos of me delivering food appeared on the big screen behind me. The crowd below erupted into an uproar. "This is Jie Moyan. Isn't he the heir of the Yin family? Why is he delivering food?" Sen Rui, who had always been unhappy with Jimoyan, jumped forward, took out a stack of photos, and threw them into the air. The photos fell like flowers scattered by a celestial fairy. Everyone picked up the photos on the ground, opening each one, none. All the photos that caught their eyes were from my time of perseverance. Sen Rui smiled at me with satisfaction. It turns out that this was all his doing. Sen Rui still held a grudge about asking for the shoes before. He secretly found someone to investigate my identity in private. Unexpectedly, they discovered photos of me working part-time. He was afraid that these photos would be just as embarrassing as last time. So he anonymously sent the photos to Jano. He originally thought that he would soon see Jimoyan being expelled from the elite school in a miserable situation. Unexpectedly, not only was Jimoyan not disgraced, he also grabbed all the attention. Sen Rui was unwilling to give up after learning about the surprise Tantan was going to give Jimoyan. So he secretly projected the photos on the big screen to let everyone know Jimoyan's true identity. Just when Sen Rui thought he was completely finished, the 4 major conglomerates came out to testify in my favor. Who knows if this isn't something you made up out of jealousy of Jimoyan? Who do you think you are? To dare to speak like this? Dare to sabotage the welcome party? Guards, get him out of here. After being shouted at and cursed at, Sen Rui was forcibly removed from the party hall by the bodyguards. When everyone saw the 4 major conglomerates come out to defend him, they all believed it. All of this is nothing more than the result of Sen Rui's jealousy. At this moment, I suddenly understand that even in the face of solid evidence, nothing can surpass the words of nobility. I walk out of the banquet hall and see the 4 people waiting at the door with, being the first to speak, Jimoyan, I formally invite you to join us. Do you accept? It's barely past 12, but my phone untimely emits a notification tone. I look down at my phone. About 100 million has been deposited into my account. A satisfied smile appears on my lips. I raise my head and proudly walk towards the heirs of the 4 great empires. This moment is not a new beginning, but my rebirth.